coming to you live on 95.1 KVCM in Los Angeles, but heard around the world, all over the place. I hope you're tuning in via our website and are here for the interview that I'm about to put into play here. I'm going to start a little song off from that, and so you can hear some of this music. Something we don't usually hear probably on KVCM. And this is the music composed by Ciaran Hope, who is an Irish composer, musician, and I want to welcome Ciaran to the program. Hi, Ciaran. How you doing?
How are you? I'm doing fine. Thank you very much. Thanks for having me on.
Down a little bit so that we can hear everybody. I appreciate you being here today. I know how busy you are. As a matter of fact, we met a couple of years ago at this very location.
That's right, here, exactly.
Yes, and I just mongered all over you because of your musicianship, and was interested in learning more about composers because I had a film that I wanted to make, and you were kind enough to read it. And we ended up doing a little thing together so far with End of the Innocence, which you did the music for, which is incredible. So why don't we go ahead and get right into this? The music I'm playing in the background right now is from a concerto that you wrote. And
I'm working on right now.
It's in progress still. Can you tell me when it started, how it became, and what we're doing here?
Sure. Maybe, oh my God, it was like a year and a half, 2 years ago, my good friend Cora Lunny, she's an Irish violinist, she approached me about writing a piece for her, basically. That's how it started. It was an idea. She had an opportunity to record a piece of music, to record a concerto, and she needed a piece to go along with it from some living composer. And she made the decision that she wanted it to be me. And I was a bit taken aback. I hadn't realized, she played for so many people that I didn't assume that I stood out among everybody else. So she asked me would I do this, and I said sure. And we started trying to basically find some money because it was going to take some time. It's not a thing that you just knock out in a week or two. And we applied to the Arts Council of Ireland. It's basically a cultural wing of the Irish government. Then funds are filtered through there to support art projects in the country. So we basically applied, and we were awarded what's called an Arts Council of Ireland Project Bursary Award. So that actually allowed me to take some time to sit down and start working on the piece for her. So at this point, we've been working on it just over a year, and I'd say there's another couple of months of work basically left before it's going to be completed.
So how does one go about working on a concerto? I'm assuming this is a huge thing that takes just tons of thought and work and creativity. How does one approach something like that?
I'll be completely honest and say I don't think I realized how much went into it before I took it on either. The first couple of months, the way we approached it was we both sat down together, and she introduced me to an awful lot of her favorite violin concertos. So we shared this listening experience of I'd go through them, I'd download the music or get it at a library, and I would read the score while listening to the music, and I just started to piece apart these different great concertos. Like everybody has their own list of what their favorites are, but both of us, it turned out, we liked Shostakovich's violin concerto, we liked Prokofiev's, we liked Brahms, we had Beethoven's violin concerto, it turns out, before we even got into this project, was both of our favorite pieces of music. So that's kind of another reason I was a bit taken aback, that this recording, the idea was this piece was to be written to work as a sister piece to Beethoven's violin concerto. She wants to tour them together, and she wanted to record them together. And to have an opportunity to write a piece of music, to sit alongside your favorite piece of music of all time, was just very, very trippy, to say the least. That's why it took maybe a week or two for it to sink in. I kept thinking I was daydreaming or something.
If someone could see my face right now, I'm looking at you going, are you kidding me? Who would ever attempt to write a companion piece to Beethoven? I mean, that's just crazy.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming that put a ton of pressure on your shoulders.
It really did. I felt that the issue at hand was, writing a piece like this. If we were going to bother to write it, we should do it properly. I mean, an awful lot of people write pieces of music every day, but why are no other pieces elevating to that level of those great pieces? And it's because, you know, we've had hundreds of years of writers, and from this body of work, you know, great pieces have ascended to the top. So if we felt we wanted to write a piece that stood a chance of sitting alongside these, I guess we just thought we should take the proper time and proper diligence and make sure we did it correctly. So for us, as I say, that really involved, I was adamant I needed to listen, and I needed to listen to these pieces with her guidance as the person who's played several of them. Like, one of my favorite recordings is her recording of the Shostakovich Violin Concerto. Like, so I've been listening to her as I think it was a 20-year-old when she played it. You know, her recording, picking it apart, seeing what I liked about her interpretation and understanding how she plays.
But at the same time, when you're writing something like that, you still have to be original. So
Yes.
Does listening to other people's works seep into you? Do you have to, at some point, you know, throw that away and go, I'm starting from scratch?
Right. It depends on how you operate. For me, I consider myself having a very poor musical memory, if I could call it that. So for me, when I listen to them, I'm analyzing the textures, the structures, the things that make the violin sound good, the thing that in the form, that's the real issue in a piece this size, is that, you know, you're going to make a person have to sit in an audience and listen to your piece from anything from 20 to 40 minutes. And that's it. It's exposed. If they don't like it after 5 minutes, you're really going to know this audience doesn't like your piece. So the structure is very, very, very tight. So I don't know, it's like as a writer, by analysing other works, sometimes you start to get underneath the skin of, oh, that's what works in terms of a choice of where you might change direction with the music or methods. Like, a lot of these guys I discovered had similar techniques of shifting the piece at different times. And to me anyway, it jumped out at me. So that's how I absorbed that information. But the structure and the melody and the texture and the ideas, like for our piece, we decided we wanted to do a second movement influenced by Gregorian chant. I've always wanted to do it, and I wasn't sure was I brave enough to try this, but she was the one standing beside me going, to hell with this. You know, if you want to do Gregorian, I think it sounds great, give it a shot.
And you've also been filming some of this and are hoping to make a documentary out of this, which is really great. So if anybody wants to get involved in the documentary, they should call us, and I'll send them to you at some point, or email me. If you're looking for funding, as usual, like we all are for our films and things like that.
Yeah.
But I know you have shot some great material on it, and it is online. Can you give me the web address that people can go and check this out?
Basically, if you head on to Facebook or onto YouTube and type in the Hope Concerto or the Hope Concerto Project, we're going to show up.
It's excellent. Yes, and I have seen this, and I highly recommend people. I actually shared it on Twitter and Facebook.
Well, thank you very much.
Everywhere, because I think you're awesome. So let's listen to one more piece out of this, and this is the, let me see, it's the first movement. It's the first movement, but we're going to play the second version of the first movement because we're going to let people listen to you telling this virtuoso violinist who's brilliant, and you're telling her what to do. I think that's just great.
We're basically working together, doing a read-through of ideas I had, and I just thought it might be interesting to show what goes on in that scenario.
Is this the right one?
If it's track 3, it is.
Okay, it's track 3. And if you want to say anything over this, that's fine too.
Okay.
So that ended up being more violent.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah.
Now give it a softer touch.
That wasn't my intention at all.
It's okay.
That sounds really nice on the violin.
It's interesting things in there. As you can hear, we discover magic when we play it. You know, the idea is that we play different variations, and we discover things by the resonance of her instrument. It's a very old, vintage, you know, violin, so it has unique textures to it that I guess I'm trying to discover, and the only way I can do it is get her to play back what I write and hear where it resonates.
So people, when you after this interview, I am going to be putting it online. I am recording it, so you can go back and actually listen to that, because myself being in the studio with Ciaran here, I was like looking over at him going, wait, who's talking? Are you talking over the music, or is that you in the music? So that was really interesting because it was like
surreal.
Yeah, that was really strange. I was like, wait a second.
You're in a Bruce Lee movie. My lips aren't moving.
I know. What's going on here? Okay, so now you were working on this in Ireland at the same time that I was begging you to do the music for my short film.
That's right.
Which was really funny because I was like, when I called you up, and I hadn't talked to you in a while. I think this is only the third time I've ever seen you in person, by the way, which is really interesting to me because we met here and then we had a lunch after you'd read my script, which you really liked the feature, which we are going to do that. And you are going to be the composer on that for sure.
Aww.
Well, I might have to sell you to the director because I'm not directing that one. But at any rate, yes, you're in because you're brilliant. But then I had this short project that I did, and I'm like, oh dear, do I dare call him to see if he'll do this? And
I think when you called, you didn't even realize I called you from Twitter, and we were yapping, and you go, can I meet you? And I said, well, I'd like to and all, but I'm in Dublin right now. And you go, what, you're Twittering me from Dublin? Or it was, sorry, Skyping.
Oh, it's Skyping, yeah. Which was fun. I would have been happy to come over if you sent me the plane ticket. I would have been there in a New York minute. But so I'm talking to you on the phone, and you're saying, yes, I'm, buried in this concerto and it's not going well and I'm hating every minute of it. And I'm like, well, do you think you could write some stuff for this little short I'm doing? And here's my schedule. And you thankfully agreed to do it. And now listening to the concerto music, I don't know exactly how you could have possibly fit this in. But I want to play a little bit from that so people can understand the difference between a concerto and writing something for film.
Sure.
Which is completely different.
And actually, your choice, you know the score I did for you. So.
I do know some of this. I'm actually going to play a bit from the first one. And then I want to go into the second one because I just want to tell people that I really scored big on getting Ciaran to do this because he was in Ireland. He was able to add some beautifully live orchestrated music from a cello player who happens to be your sister, I think.
That's right. Well remembered.
And also from is it Katie St. Pierre? Who's the soprano.
The soprano, yeah.
Yeah, which just totally shocked me when you sent me a thing going, well, you might need to credit these two people. And I'm like, cello and then soprano? What could that possibly be? And when we get to that one, I'll tell you the effect that had on me. But I'm going to go ahead and play the first track. Feel free to talk over it if you want to talk about it, because I actually would like to know more about what inspired you with doing this. So this is the very beginning of the movie, which has...
That's actually right.
Which is a dream sequence.
It's a dream sequence. So I went with these kind of ethereal electronic sounds to try and, accentuate the dream. I left the live instruments out at this point.
So when you're writing something like this, are you looking at the picture to inspire you?
Yeah.
Is it actually the visual? Yeah. Or at that point, you had read the script?
For me, I like the image a lot. I can write off the script, but I have much more fun writing off image. So if you remember, I kept saying I'm waiting until it's edited to send it to me because I didn't feel like while I was working on something else, I was saying I'm going to save it all until when I get the impression I get from what I see, because that's going to inspire me best. Right. So.
And you were also very specific to me. Well, let me get through this loud part. Yeah. This is all electronic, right?
Yeah. It's funny, it plays and you listen to it and go, oh, that's this, that, and the other. And you go, yeah, but you know how long it takes to find and edit those textures to make them right? Oh, my God. You sit there for hours playing one note going, and then go, no, I'm not quite sure I like the way it sounds. And I'll tweak some filters on it and you go, no, that's a bit closer,
So how does the music jump into your head as you're looking at the picture? And I obviously didn't put a temp track on it because I didn't want to get married to something. I had no music. My editor was going, why the heck are you not letting me put music on this? And I said, you can cut it to music, but I don't want to hear it.
Yeah.
Because I wanted your thing to be pure to me.
I know, and I had said, sometimes people send temp to me and sometimes they don't, and I don't really mind. The only time I have a problem with it is when they're too attached to it, because then we have a problem, because I can't replicate exactly what's in the temp. I can get something off the flavor of what's in the temp, but if you're that attached to it, just use it.
Use the temp, even though you stole it off of some...
Yeah, I have no problem writing along with the temp, though. It's a guide. It's always about trying to say, what do you want? And if a temp is a good way of showing me what you want, I'm very happy to work along with that.
Okay, we're going to take a quick break here to get a little message from I think it might be the president.
95.1 KVCM presents a live remote broadcast from